Chairman Hopkins. Barry Crawl. Bruce Hendricks. Dan Palmer.
Here.
John Getz.
The first order of business is to approve the minutes for June 23rd, 2022.
So moved. Second. Do we have enough to approve it?
Yes, we do. So we just need a majority of the members present to vote in favor of it. Dan Palmer.
Yes.
John Getz.
Yes.
Chairman Hopkins.
Abstain.
All right, motion passed.
Next item on our agenda is public comments. Would anyone in the public like to address us?
There. Okay, it's on. Terry Witt, 471 Southwestern Avenue. I'm a league cycling instructor and the director of advocacy at Spin Doctor Cycle Works, our local bike shop, and well recognized by the League of American Bicyclists. So I'd just like to say that Alex Hansen and Steve Schwartz, engineering and CMAP, and all the contributors to the bike plan that they have just completed have done an outstanding job of saying, this is Bartlett. They were accurate. And they came out with many fine recommendations for us to move forward as the world becomes more bike-friendly. And I would like to encourage this committee to send a rousing endorsement to the village board to adopt the bike plan so that you can begin working on implementing some of those recommendations. Thank you.
So Jessica Ortega was not able to attend today, but she did want me to share that the final segment of the Northwest DuPage Regional Trail will be having a video presentation later in October, and we will share the link to that when that is with the committee as soon as that's presented. So 20 years in the making for that one. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I have one update. The Park District is actually excited that we were going to get awarded a grant opportunity to make some improvements to an apple orchard community park, which also involves the bike path improvement. So the bike path that kind of goes along South Bartlett Road is part of that. It kind of turns into our park, which is wanted to share with the community that that will be part of the grant that we'll look to improve to start next year.
So the grant was approved?
Yes.
Oh, awesome.
Yes, it's been awarded. So we're still in the preliminary discussions and design phases, but a big part of that was improving that trail.
So what part of the trail?
So it'd be the stretch from the corner of Stearns Road on South Bartlett that kind of follows Apple Orchard Community Park, but then it kind of turns into our community center. So it'll go all the way around, but then it'll coincide with some improvements I know the village is working on further down South Bartlett Road as well. So that'll all hopefully coincide and get together.
Thank you. So provided in the packet is a memo that gives a list of all the projects, and if anyone has any questions on it, happy to answer them.
Other than being narrow, is it, what's the plan? Is it to redo the trail or?
Essentially, it's gonna be resurfacing it and widening it, because, yeah, it narrowed and is getting, the slopes on it aren't exactly compliant anymore. So, kind of fixing that, clearing some trees that need to be cleared, cleaning it up a little bit. Mhm. Yeah, so we have an agreement with Metra to do the landscaping currently near the Depot Museum, where it's all that concrete, and right now, actually today's a good example of why this will be helpful. So right now, it's an easy cut through. Commuters or people using the train don't really follow sidewalks. So with thought is putting in the landscaping and updating the sidewalk to have like curb, just be concrete. It's not going to, Metro won't allow the pavers. So that'll be all improved. It'll have sidewalk stretching all the way to Berteau. And so that is in the works. There's a couple more agreements with Metro that need to be approved, but other than that, it's all.
The concrete gonna kind of follow the same idea that I think they were discussing. They're gonna test in front of Moore Brewing Company and move out from there if it's successful? Or is it gonna be just traditional, straight? They're gonna stamp it or anything like that?
So the last we spoke with Metro, we asked about that, and they said they would only allow like decorative or anything stamped at the curb cuts. So the regular sidewalk would have to be concrete.
Now, Metro's providing 150,000 in funding. Now, is that going to cover the project, or will village funds still have to be used?
Village funds will still have to be used. That's probably about half. Yeah, it'd most likely be the spring. Like I said, we're waiting on some agreements to be made up by Metra, and then we'll get those approved, and then we can actually go out to bid for it. So we've gotten pretty far. They were kind of new at it, but now they're starting to get the hang of it. So we're hoping soon we'll be done, at least as far as Newport, from Chippendale all the way to Coral. So right now they stopped at the Rosika Field entrance. So that'll be all new from Coral south. And then they'll move over to Struckman, and then touch up what they can before the season turns. So they are actually, and as luck should have it, we got an update today. They're coming in on Monday, and they're going to do all the crosswalks in those areas. All the striping around school zones, they're gonna refresh everywhere around, like where the road projects were recently done, they're gonna refresh all of that. Yes. Yeah, so DuPage came out and did some of it, basically their portion. We're going to touch up the other portions that IDOT says are on us. Are on us. Yeah, it's kind of. Pretty good. Like, it was a little bit of a learning curve. I guess our paver isn't very new, but it gets the job done. Especially bike paths, are able to get done a pretty good section, like usually around 500 feet in a week. It's pretty good. It's been, like, I encourage you, if you ever go to Rosita Field, just take a walk down towards Chippendale. All that's brand new, and it's pretty good.
I guess it looks like a light agenda. What's coming?
Well, we are hoping that the village board will be adopting the bike and pedestrian plan. There was a presentation made on Tuesday, so the next step is for the board to formally adopt that. I think at the next meeting that we're going to have, I think we'll start to say what kind of suggestions from that plan we can incorporate, because there were some short-term goals. So let's start working on some of the short-term goals, prioritize what larger projects we want to start applying for grants and pursuing that to kind of come up with a short-term and long-range plan to make sure that we're enacting some of the projects and some of the recommendations. And one of the other projects I think this commission can start focusing on is coming up with a wayfinding signage plan to kind of figure out, now we know what the destinations are, where could we put signage to help direct people on our network?
So the village board has already seen it. They have questions, maybe, are they, is there a line of sight for them approving it, or Terry's suggestion, we need to endorse it from a committee standpoint?
I think we're ready to go straight to adoption, so.
We reviewed it at our committee meeting on Tuesday, and I think we gave it a favorable review.
Yeah.
And we're gonna probably send it, I imagine, at the next meeting.
It's the next meeting, or we're trying to time it because Stream was adopting it too, so we kind of want to do it
Yeah.
in conjunction with them. So we're trying to see when it's on their agenda.
Yeah, exactly, I agree with Terry, it's well laid out, well put together.
Yeah, I was surprised I was happy to see we got as much interaction with it being more online than normal due to the pandemic. So I think we got great responses for that.
So then assuming it is approved, planning for next year, can we already start planning for next year, maybe in the December meeting?
That's what I'm saying. At the next meeting, we'll come forward and say, okay, these were some of the short-term, the quick fixes, lower cost that we could do in-house possibly, and get those scheduled so we can start implement some of the suggestions.
Do you still, Tyler, do you still maintain the spreadsheet that you put together a couple years ago? Is it still, I mean, maybe that's something we can talk about in December too, what maintenance we need versus what recommendations came out of there are some deteriorating sections of the path. The high school is probably the most obvious one.
Right.
And I think that's village jurisdiction, right? That's not U46.
Or
We have
which one?
is it the one on the school district property, or is it like along their parking lot or along Schick Road?
Along Schick from, where is it,
Petersdorf.
There was some patching done this past spring, maybe last fall, that helped a little bit, but it's, it's getting bad. Anyway, that's something I think we should talk about.
Okay.
Next meeting, planning, this, and then whatever came out of the CMAC.
Okay.
Yeah, I would love to see the spreadsheet of whatever you have over there. That would be
This
great.
is computer old. Has been updated in my.
Yeah. Is there any new business or old business that anyone will?
Regarding the 29th of December is our next meeting, I'd be good for it, but it traditionally hasn't been a good date for a lot of other people, so it's been pushed to January. You might want to check about that up front.
Yeah, that was why we have it on the agenda. Typically, we push it back then to like the fourth Thursday in January, just so that we're not dealing with the holidays.
Yeah, I think, absolutely.
Okay.
Motion to move the meeting?
Do we need
What's
one?
it, what's the date?
I don't think we
So what's the,
Well, we
can
have
you
to
look-
notify the public about it, right?
Right?
we have to notify the public, so we have plenty of time to notify the public that that will be canceled. We don't need a motion on it.
Okay.
One thing, I was listening to some of the minutes from previous Bike and Run committee meetings. I know a few issues that got brought up. I was wondering, is there any way, I know you guys keep track of certain issues when the public addresses, the committee. Could we look into some of those to see if they've been fixed or solved?
Some of the updates?
Yeah, so I know one of the issues that just rings a bell was the crosswalks at West Bartlett and Naperville Road. So I know there's a lot of jurisdictions going on there, so I know there was a lot of issues, but has there been any movement on that?
I know Dan was following up with Cook County, and with Brewster Creek, the TIF getting closer to expiring, we're trying to see what TIF funds so that we can complete the bike path along Munger Road and also complete that improvement. So we'll follow up with Dan to see what the status of that is, and working with V3 and Cook County.
So no, I know there's a connecting, downtown to, Westridge, or, the tracks are a major concern. Has anyone reached out to the railroad and said, hey, we want to try to get something going here, or reached out to Cook County to see if something can?
Railroad might be in a good mood right now, considering they need approvals.
So I know we reached out to them when the EJ&E was coming through, and they had no interest at that point in allowing any additional crossings, whether they be at-grade or even separated. And then,
Would it also apply along the roadway too? They'd fight that?
yes, they would fight that. They don't have as much authority to fight that, but we're trying to work with, there's potential projects in the Elgin portion, because the west side of Spitzer is Elgin. There's potential projects that would be developed, and that would include putting in bike path. So that would help our case to get a connection over those tracks.
Okay, now I'm thinking about it, hold on, the connection at 25 West Bartlett, the crosswalk there.
Challenging.
Challenging.
Very challenging. There's a gas pipeline there that's not as deep as,
Apparently very shallow.
yeah, and so because of the cost of having to move that is delaying that project.
I mean, I've seen kids running across that intersection, it's pretty scary.
It's going to get worse because people that live in South Elgin there. Plus, from people from Bartlett, it's a cutover to the Prairie Path, or Elgin
All that
Trail.
development there, but there's no way you can get a crosswalk put in?
There are utility issues. There are IDOT. At one point, there were plans to have a pedestrian crossing with IDOT, and then that was taken out of their capital budget without any notification to South Elgin or the Bartlett. There have been plans submitted by the developer to IDOT for review, and IDOT, I believe, provided comments, and we're trying to still get copies of those plans to figure out exactly what's going on with it, because the developer was interested in contributing towards some of the costs and the grants that would be required.
Yeah, we applied the last 2 years for funding for that crossing, and every time, so far, they've denied it due to the plans not being fully completed.
So we are hoping by having the bike plan officially adopted, and that was one of our key projects, that gives more weight for when it comes to grant and funding opportunities.
And what about that subdivision that was gonna put a path underneath the railroad, the metro tracks at the Milwaukee District West, right by 59 there? How's that?
Yes. It is moving forward. Right now, the plan is that the developer will close on the property at the end of October, and then they are submitting plans for that underpass to us by November 3rd. As part of Phase 2 of that development includes the bike path crossing at the railroad tracks going north, and the owner has asked Metra to prepare the plans for that. So Metra is working on getting that done. So all that path system will be huge when that goes in. Yeah.
That's railroad tracks there, though, that's under the, that's merger, right? The Milwaukee District West. That's maybe the,
Less than 20 years?
Yes. I'll go on the record and say yes, less than 20 years for that.
thank you.
All right. Anything else?
Did we need a motion to
I'll make-
change that meeting?
No.
No.
Okay.
I'll make or recommend a motion to adjourn.
Second?
We'll,
Do you want to call roll or just do ayes?
Aye.
aye. Perfect. All right.
Welcome aboard.
Yeah. It's exciting.